So since you understand three methods, straight line method, declining balance method, unit activity methods. So let's see the first one, the old guy. So when you are the old guy, did you find out? You live the day, every day the same. So your value should be decreased the same. So this method should be the most simple one, okay? Just divided by useful life, that's it, okay? So let's see this method on your slide, page 65, okay? So your value should be decreased the same because you use it the same way every day, okay? So we base on what? Based on the time. The time means how many years you used. Your useful life. Okay? So each year you will get the same amount. So means what? The value will be decreased the same. Right? So how to do that? I know the total value decrease already, right? So divided by years, right? How many years you are going to use it? So let's look at the formula is what? The cost minus residual value. The cost minus residual value is the total value decrease, right? So the first factor, cost minus residual value, I know the total value decrease, right? The problem is how many years you are going to use. So we divide it by useful life, right? So useful life is how long? You will use PPE. Okay? So total value decrease divided by how long, how many years you use the PPE. So can you find out the value decrease for each year? Yes, right? So you will get the total value, the value decrease for each year. The value decrease for each year, we call it depreciation expense, 折旧费用. Okay? So it's quite simple for this method. When you are the old guy, so use your PPE the same every day, every year. So you should get the same amount every day, every year. Okay? Okay, so let's look at one case. Then one case, we apply it for three different methods, okay? So this case is right here. We buy our delivery truck when? On January 1st, 2025. You buy the delivery truck, okay? And don't forget, you need three factors, right? First is the cost. Second is what? Useful life, okay? So second one is useful life. But don't forget, useful life, how long you are going to use your PPE can be times, can be units, right? So I'm going to use my PPE 5 years, or I'm going to use my PPE, drive my car 200,000 miles. So could be time, could be unit. Okay, so there's a second factor we have about useful life. How about third factor? Third factor is residual value, right? So this is about your residual value, salvage value. 残值 So what's that? The value on last day, okay? So based on this, can you find out your depreciation expense for each period? Yes, right? Okay. So we use straight line method, 直线法. So useful life, we use 5 years, okay? If you don't have any questions, please go to your handout on page 21. Handout on page 21. Okay. So page 21, the same case right here. So when I use straight line method, okay, so first column right here is about depreciation expense. So what's our expectation? We think they should be the same, right? Because we use straight line method. So each year should get the same amount, okay? How about second column? Second column is about accumulated depreciation, 累积折旧. So what does it mean? It's our depreciation expense over years. After that, can you know your book value? Your PP's value for each period? Yes, right? So how to get the book value? Is cost minus accumulated depreciation, right? So based on this, can you know your PP's value for each period? Yes. So you can know your PP's value for each period. Okay? Finish this table, you got all the amount you need, right? And don't forget, after you got all the amount you need, and you can use the table to do the following things. So what's the following things we want to do? Journal entry, right? So first day, what happened? First day, you buy equipment. Okay? Then, what's the next? Each period, at the end of each period, what should we do? We use our PP, right? So when you use your PP, you should do what? Depreciation to tell them your PP's value decrease, right? So we have to do depreciation. And don't forget, journal entry only for 1 year. Journal entry, we just record only for 1 year. Only for 1 year. Okay? After write down journal entry, then don't forget what's our purpose. Prepare your financial statements right here. Okay? So please finish page 21 and page 22. Finish the table. Then you can use the table to prepare your journal entries, to prepare your financial statements. If you finish, you can double check the answers right here. Okay, each year our value decreased $2,400. Accumulated depreciation for 1 year, 2,400. For 2 years, $4,800. For 3 years, $7,200, and so on. How about your book value? On the first day, you just buy the PP. So the first day, of course, the value should be cost, right? On the first day, I haven't used the PP yet. It's the first day today I buy the PP. So your PP's value is the cost. Then later, when you start to use your PP, so your PP's value decrease. Okay? Okay, are you done? So, remind you one thing. You spend much time to prepare this table, right? So since you prepare this table, all the number right here, you can use it to do the following things. So what's the following things? You know, annual depreciation for 1 year number, right? So which financial statement is only for 1 year number? Statement of comprehensive income. So when you are going to prepare statement of comprehensive income, don't forget, you can look at the first column to prepare your statement of comprehensive income. How about accumulated depreciation and book value? You can find out these two numbers on balance sheet. So when you are going to prepare balance sheet, don't forget, you just use the last two columns to prepare your balance sheet. Okay, so don't waste your tables. Okay, since I prepare a table, of course I'm going to use the numbers on the table to do everything. Okay, so when you are going to prepare your page 22, two financial statements, you just look at the first column, second column, third column. You can get your numbers. You can get your answers. Okay, any questions? So did you find out it's very important for this table? How to double check it? Since you finished, you done the table. Are you sure you did the right thing? How you double check it? How? Don't forget, after you got all the numbers, last number have to be residual value. Why? Because we use the cost, useful life, and residual value, these three factors, trying to get depreciation expense for each period, right? So after you find out the numbers for each period, in the end, what's your expectation? You expect on the last day, your PP's value is residual value, right? We expect our PP's value on last day should be residual value. So how could you do the double check? This number have to be your residual value, okay? Because that's our expectation. We expect on the last day, the PP's value is residual value, okay? So that's how we double check your answers. This number have to be your residual value, okay? Do you understand? Okay, so you use the number to do your double check. Okay, you find out it's 1,000. Yeah, then all the numbers should be the correct. Any questions? No problem. Then we try to write down the first journal entry. We buy the equipment. Did you pay? No, you didn't, because the question told you with a note, So you didn't pay the money, you write down the written promise, okay? So that's why our equipment increase. Also, I have a liability with a written promise, okay? How about the last two? We do the depreciation, right? And since we use which method? Straight line method, right? So you expect the number should be the same, because you use straight line methods, okay? So each year, your value decrease the same. Any questions? So depreciation expenses increase, accumulated depreciation increase. So we told you your value decrease. Your value decrease. How much it is? $2,400 each year. Okay? Any questions? After that, we've done the journal entries. We record on first book. Okay? Then prepare financial statements. When we are going to prepare financial statements, look at the tables right here, right? So the table told you what's the cost, $30,000. What's your first year? First year accumulated depreciation, $2,400. Book value only $10,600. How about second year accumulated depreciation, $4,800. What's your book value after 2 years? $8,200. Okay, so look at the last two columns told you your accumulated depreciation and your book value. Okay, that's how we finish this. So look at your journal, look at your tables. You can find out first year and second year. Any questions? No problem? Okay, very simple, easy, right? Then you can find out your equipment's value for each year. Since you don't have any questions, my problem is when we buy it, January 1st, right? So what's the problem? It's not the real world. Always you do everything on January 1st. You are going to say, no, I cannot do anything. Why? Because it's not January 1st. So most of things you've done is not on January 1st. So we go back to our real world. So what's a real world? We buy the equipment not on January 1st. So on your slide, page 71, when you buy your equipment on April 1st, So that's for real case, okay? Real case, everything happened not on January 1st. So what should we do? Consider the time, right? So first year, you buy it on April 1st, right? So for the first year, how many months you used? Only 9 months, right? So don't forget, you only use it 9 months. So consider the time for 9 months. How about second year, third year, fourth year, whole year? So the same, okay? How about last year? Be careful. Last year, how many months you used? From 2029 to April 1st, 2030. You just use it 9 months. So consider the time 9 months. Okay? So be careful about the time when you dig it. And pay attention only on first year and last year. The others, totally the same for the whole year. Okay? So please go to your handout on page 22. Finish the table on page 22. When? Today. You buy the PPE on April 1st. Okay? So the only thing, pay attention to the first year and last year. Others, that's the whole year, totally the same. Okay, if you finish, you can double check the answers by yourself. So 2025, you just use it 9 months. So be careful, 9 months. So you have to consider the time only for 9 months. So 9 months, the depreciation expense only $1,800. How about last year? You just use it 3 months, okay? So 3 months, the depreciation expense only $600. How about in the middle? In the middle, the whole year. So go back to the straight line method, 直线法. So what does it mean? We use it the same way for the whole year. So depreciation expense should be the same. Any questions? After finish the whole table, are you sure you did the right thing? Don't forget, last number have to be residual value. We use it to double check your answers, okay? Because that's our expectation. After 5 years, our PP's value should be $1,000. Any questions? Yes. No? Okay. No problem? Okay, so that's the first method, straight line method. Talk about me, the old guy. Or the person who go to gym, right? Do you work out? If you work out, you understand you had to, live like the old guy. Wake up the same day, go to bed the same day, eat the same thing, and try to make sure you have enough protein, right, and waters. So actually, the same straight line methods. No problem. Okay, then let's go to the second method. So what's the second method? Crazy guy. So let's talk about the crazy guy. Can we move on? Or should I wait? Okay, so let's go to the crazy guy. On your slide, page 73. Activity methods. Units of activity method. So when we talk about activity method, 活动量法, also you can call it units of activity. They are the same. So there's a crazy guy. Can you find out the pattern? No, you cannot find out the pattern. The only thing is when the crazy guy use more, so the value should be decreased more. That's it. Okay. So maybe today they use more. Maybe next day they use less. So we don't know the pattern. But I know, the only thing I know is when they use more, value should be decreased more. So no pattern. The only thing is when you find out it use more, so the value should be decreased more. Okay, so when they use less, the value should be decreased less. Okay, so this is the only thing we know. Others, we don't know. We don't know them, right? Because it's crazy guy. How can I predict what they are going to do for the crazy guy? Okay, so how we find out the total amount? We don't know the pattern, but we know use more, value decrease more. So the only thing we know is when they use 1 unit, the value should be decreased the same. Okay, so the value decrease for per unit should be the same. So we know the value decrease for per unit for each unit should be the same. Like what? Okay, you are a taxi driver. Maybe today you have more miles. Maybe next day we don't have the business, so we have less miles. So today higher, next day lower. I don't know. But when you drive the car 1 mile, your car's value should be decreased the same, right? Okay, so there's the concept right here. 每使用一单位，价值减少，应该一样。Okay. Any questions? No problem, right? So what we're trying to do, at least we want to know the value decrease for each unit should be the same, how much. So that's the first step we're trying to find out. Each unit value decrease how much, okay? So let's look at, so here told you, total amount, value, no pattern. But that should depends on the unit, right? How many units you used. Okay. Okay, so let's look up. First thing is find out the value decrease for each unit. So how? Do you know the total value decrease? Yes, of course. So cost minus residual value told you what? Cost minus residual value told you the total value decrease, right? Then we should divide it by what? Unit, right? How many units we used totally? So depends on the total unit used. So after that, can you note the value decrease for each unit? Yes, right? So after that, I note the value decrease for each unit. Okay? So that's what we talk about. Depreciation expense per unit. 每单位折旧费用. After you got the value decrease for each unit, then could you know the total amount for each year? Yes, depends on how many units you use, right? So we will use that to times how many units they used this year. So based on step 1 from your step 1, find out the value decrease for each unit. And then we consider how many units you used. For this period. Okay, so when you used more, then value decrease more. When you used less, then your value decrease less. Okay, any questions? So could be higher, could be lower, depends on the unit you used. No problem? Then please go to your handout on page 24. Page 24. Page 24. So how many units you used? Right here told you how many units. In miles, 100,000 miles, right? So that's a total unit. Okay? So based on this, please finish page 24 and 25. 24 and 25. So annual depreciation should be no patent. So unit more. Use more. Then value decrease more. No. Okay. And yeah. Page 24 and the page 25. If you're done, you can go home. It's okay. And the third method, I'll send you the video. Okay, talk about the third method. So please finish the third method at home. Okay, so if you want to double check the answers, you can look at it. If you think it's okay for you, you have no doubt on the answers, then you can leave. It's okay. So did you find out? We don't have the patterns, right? So maybe higher, maybe lower, maybe higher, maybe low. Depends on how many units you used. So that's a crazy guy. So could be higher, could be lower. After you finish the tables, then you can use the table to do the all things. Okay, so don't forget, the table can help you to do everything. Prepare your journal entries, prepare your financial statements. So if you want to double check your financial statements, if you don't have any questions, you are free to go. It's okay. 你是你吗？他这边累积过就50。对啊，你基本上就这2个照抄过去而已啊。它不是累积2年的嘛？累积2年540啊，所以你这边就是540啊，对不对？所以你的 book value 也是照抄而已啊，你就把那2个栏位照抄而已啊。 所以你其实也可以不用算，它就是对啊，直接看，这就是你算了老半天，不就是为了把它超过去而已啊？这个就是0.12啊，你看，嗯 ，OK。